Hello, this is Isaac, and this is part 3 of building a registration system with React Native. In the previous part, I showed you how to register a user to the database. In this part, I will show you how to log in a user and how to use the async storage to store his access token in the mobile device. So let's get into it. So this is our index file. I'm calling the login component. This is where I'm importing it. Just exactly the same like we did in the last part, in the previous part. So this is why I created most of this component. I already created it because it's the same thing. We have two text inputs. We have the onChange text callback handler. Secure text entry is true. This is for the password, and we have the button. Once the user hits submit, it's going to invoke the onLoginPress method, and we're biting the disk. This is very familiar. There's only one difference here that on the beginning we're showing here the error message, right? So this.state.error. If you remember, on the register component we use the stateless component, and let me show you. Use a stateless component. The reason why we're not using a stateless component this time is because if we're going to have an error, it's going to be only one error message. It's not going to be an array. So let's take a look at our state here. So we have an email and the password. This is for the form, and we have the error. So I set it in the backend in a way that if there's an error, so the error message is always going to be the same. Something like email and password combination are invalid. So it makes our life a bit easier. So we won't need to loop. So this is the method onLoginPress. So this is again the async await syntax, the ES7 syntax. And here we are waiting for the promise to resolve. So this is the route API login. The method is post. Even though we're not creating anything in the database, we are just authenticating the user. And on success, the backend will send back the access token. So it's a JSON content that we're sending in the header. We're using the JSON.stringify again to convert it to a JSON object. And in this case, we are hitting the session controller. So that's why I'm using here session and not user, like what we did in the register component. This is simply a Rails convention. Okay, so let res, which is shortcut for response. So this is going to be the response, whether it's a success or a failure response. So we're using this if statement to differentiate between the two. Let's tab these a little bit. So far it's all the same, and let's log in a user. This is an error, and in this case it shouldn't be an error. So first of all, you see the error message has vanished because on success I'm setting the state of the error to be an empty string. Okay, and this is the response that we got. Response token 55VV. And indeed, this is the same access token, just like in the database. So it's working. It's the same thing. You see how easy it is? So once you do it once, you just copy and paste your code over and over again, and you just change your route, change the data that you're sending. But it's pretty much the same. I mean, these two input fields are exactly the same like in the registration form. Even the button, we're just changing here the method. So now I want to talk to you about the async storage. This is like the local storage of the mobile device. So this is going to be a perfect solution for us to store the access token because first of all, it's global. So because it's global also, you need to be careful. But in our case, it's only an access token. So we will be able to fetch it no matter where we are in the app. No matter what component, what file, it doesn't matter. And we're going to get a promise back, which means we can also use the ES7 syntax. The async await syntax. So this is the key value storage. So first of all, we want to create a constant which is going to be the key. I'm going to call it access token because it's really going to be the access token. So anytime you want to get your token from the storage, you're going to use this key. Okay, so let's create our first method. So it's going to be async, and we're going to call it store token. And it's going to accept an argument, which is going to be the access token once the user logs in successfully. Okay? So it's going going to be access token, and first we need to try. So this should be familiar, and then we need to catch. In this case, it will throw the errors for us if there are any. So console.log, something went wrong. And here all we need to do is to do await async storage. We're going to set the item, and also I imported it right here. Okay, so don't forget, you need to import it, otherwise it's not going to work. So this is our key, and this is going to be the value that it will receive. And then once it's happening, I'm not going to console.log anything, but what I am going to do is I'm going to invoke the get token method, because we want to make sure that it really worked. We don't need to pass anything. All we need to do is to copy this, paste it, because these are pretty much the same, so we need to do a little fixing. We won't be needing any parameters. This is going to be get. We won't be needing this either. And we're going to console.log the token. So token is token. And we need to create this variable, of course, so let token equal gate item. So this won't make any sense, it's not going to be good. Let's make sure that everything is okay. Async storage, we're prefixing it correctly, and we have one more thing to do. Is once the user is succeeding to log in, we will invoke the store token, and we're going to pass it the access token that we are defining here. Okay, let's take a look. Let's clear our console, and let's log in J first. Let's log in, and token is 55AV, so it's working, right? So this is coming from the get token, and this is the same. Now let's log in the other user. Very annoying that I just can't select everything and delete it. Johnny, let's log in. The same thing, but this time it's the correct token. WLV. So it's working. So we can store the token, we can get the token. Look how easy it is. This is very, very easy. And in fact, let's punish the user that if he fails to log in, we will remove his token permanently. Well, not really, but let's practice. Let's practice this. So we're going to remove it. We won't be needing this. But what I will need is we're going to call this get token. So right now the token exists, and even if we will refresh the app, it's still there, right? Unless we remove it. So now we're going to remove it. Let's make sure that everything is okay. Everything is okay. And we're going to need to call this method. So I'll remove token. Okay. Let's take a look. Log in. Token is null. Token is null because we just removed it and then we call the get token method. So this is how you remove a token. Remove, get the token, store a token. This is very familiar syntax, right? So it makes sense. If you want to get a token, so you need to set a variable to be equal to the token, and this is going to be get item, remove item, set item. So this is the main part that I wanted to show you in this episode. Okay, and what are we gonna do with this? Basically, just like we did, like I showed you in the first part, that we want to verify the token. So we get the token, we want to verify the token against the database, against the backend API, and if we're getting a success response, then the user is logged in, and we will pass him to wherever we want to. But this is the shield, this is the base of this whole app, this async storage, because we're going to rely on it heavily. Okay? So this is it for tonight. Yeah, here it's tonight. It's 10:18 p.m. Friday night. You see what I'm doing for you guys? I'm not going out. Okay, so let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. Again, any suggestions are welcomed. I would love to hear what you have to say. As you can guess, I'm also kind of a beginner in this, but it is working, right? So that's the point of it. So thank you for listening. Have a great day.